Hello everyone, as with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful evening wherever you are in this great world. We're gonna talk about XRP. And I gotta start with this. SWIFT successfully tests tokenized bond settlement using stablecoins. SWIFT has completed a trial of tokenized bond settlement using both fiat currency and stablecoins in collaboration with SocGen, Forge, BNP Paribas, and Intesa Sanpaolo. All three of those are Ripple partners, and they've been partners of Ripple for years. So when you see SWIFT doing this with tokenization, you have to wonder what network that they're running this on. I'm telling you now, Ripple and the XRP ledger is already connected to SWIFT in multiple ways, most likely directly and also through partners of Ripple as well. Fidelity Digital Assets says crypto is approaching its shipping container moment as recent Wall Street integrations lay groundwork for structural adoption in 2026. You know why that statement is so important? Shipping container moment? Because David Schwartz talked about this years ago. Take a listen.
So there's going to be a change. Every bank in the world, every payment company in the world would love to say to Amazon, to Airbnb, to Uber, or to that niche company, fire your payment employees, we'll just do your payments for you. But they can't. The networks they're built on just weren't designed to provide that functionality. That is going to happen no matter what. That is a given. We had a revolution in the physical delivery of goods with the shipping container, which changed globalization, started globalization. We had a revolution in the delivery of information with the internet. But what we don't know is, what is the TCP/IP of money? What is the shipping container of value? We don't know that yet. There's going to be one, though. That is a definite. And that's going to bring changes. And what I also want to get through is that one of those changes that I foresee and that I think is important is that the size of payments are going to shrink, drastically shrink. Many of you people here probably have a job and you probably get paid twice a month or every 2 weeks. Well, why is that? You probably pay bills once a month. Well, why is that? It's because payments are expensive and clunky. But if payments were cheap and simple, then those frequencies could go up. Money could be streamed at you while you're working. You could stream money to your landlord to pay for the place where you're staying. Now, I know those sound dumb, and I'll be blunt. Yeah, they are. And I'll tell you, like, if we were talking about email in the late 90s and you said to me, like, what are people going to use email for? I probably could not have given you the examples that is on everyone probably here. Probably has a cell phone, probably has email on it, and probably has hundreds of messages that look nothing like postal mail or the messaging that existed in the late 90s. None of that could I have predicted. If you'd asked me if the internet had enough bandwidth in the year 2000, I would have said, yeah, it has plenty of bandwidth. Well, could I have imagined Netflix and on-demand video? That's ridiculous, right? Like, the cost of bandwidth is too high for that. But the internet drove the cost of bandwidth down to zero. And if the cost of payments go down to zero, the world is going to change.
And that's going to start with micropayments. But we are at the shipping container of value point in where we are headed. In other words, it all starts in 2026, according to Fidelity. But Ripple was warning of this coming all the way back in like 2016 and 2017. And here we are now, and this is playing out in real time. And a lot of people are talking about how bullish it is to see Brad at the World Economic Forum. But I don't think a lot of people know what the World Economic Forum really is. It's where all the evil people of the world gather together and plot against all of us. That's what really happens there. The good thing is, you're invested in what they see as the future. And this is their agenda, and they're not even trying to hide it. One world government, end of nations, one world army, one world police force, one world central bank, and so on. This is all about globalization. And that's why I always told you, this isn't just happening in the US and it's not just happening in China. It's happening globally. We are literally all in this together. And we are invested in the future by buying XRP. There's a reason that Brad gets a seat at all those tables. And one thing I want to show you here, and Chris Larson, he's all about globalization. Ripple's been on board with this from day one. But take a listen to the end of this clip.
But that's not the case with money. Money is not interoperable globally. So it takes days to move value from network to network. It costs the world about almost $2 trillion to move that value, and it blocks access to billions of people all around the world. And among other things, that means even a wealthy European can't send 50 euros to the US without it all being chewed up in costs, let alone the 50 cents that an underbanked citizen needs to be able to send if they want to be part of the global economy, all 2 billion of them, let alone the 100th of a cent that these new connected devices need to be able to send to other devices.
Take notice, he's talking about machine-to-machine payments. Like I always told you, we're invested in the robot money, the AI money. But you can't have globalization if payments are going to be too expensive to send from one country to another. That's why cross-border payments is so important. That's why RippleNet and XRP are so important. That's why they're the future. Because we are headed towards one world currency, one world everything. But you can't have it without having cheap payments first. You're holding the core part of this. And with the rise of AI happening, which is going to control the entire new financial system, the new financial system isn't going to be just in the US and the EU and so on. It's going to be a global system, a one world financial system. And that's why Ripple always had a seat at the table. This is Ripple years ago. Brad, remember this image where he's with the IMF and the ECB and the World Bank and the BIS and so on. This is Brad sitting with the president at the beginning of last year. And there's most likely multiple meetings taking place between Ripple and the president, and Ripple and the ECB, and Ripple and the BIS, all happening in the background while we're staring at the price of XRP, wondering why it's not going up. The only thing still holding it back, literally, is that the system isn't fully complete yet. And then there's this, and this is part of the World Economic Forum's agenda as well. Charles is not wrong at all. Take a listen.
Here's the brass tacks about what's at stake. You got AI, you got tech oligarchies, and you got your entire life connected to this guy right here. Tracks everything you do, goes along with you everywhere you go. And you have outsourced everything to these tech oligarchs. And with AI, they will know every single thing about you. And they're going to put a number on your head right here, just like the number of the beast. And your entire experience as a human being is going to be based on whether that number is higher and that number is low. That is the system you're sleepwalking into as you complain about paying your car payment and your bills and all your other stuff. That's the system you're sleepwalking into. Do you really want to live in a world where every single thing you say, think, and do is monitored? Do you really want to live in a world where your entire value as a human being is a number that an artificial intelligence agent has stamped on you? Because that's what you have with the legacy financial system. And no one is going to save you. The whole reason our industry exists, with its avarice, its chaos, its stupidity, its meme coins, and its bullshit, is because it's the only thing humanity has invented to avoid that dystopian hellscape of a future.
And he is totally right. And I even told you in previous videos when I was talking about the Great Reset and so on, Crypto is your way of buying yourself off of that system. Most people don't even realize this system is coming. Most people don't know what a stable coin is. They don't know what a central bank digital currency is. They don't know what a digital ID is. And what Charles is saying is crypto was built to be an alternative to the system that they want to create. And I always said there's going to be parallel rails in the future. You're going to have your central bank digital currency rails, like your stablecoin rails, whatever form the government money comes in. And then you're going to have crypto rails. And the rich people, they're going to be using the crypto rails because they don't want their transactions tracked and traced. And they don't want surveillance over everything that they're doing. So if you enrich yourself before this system rises, you can possibly break away from it. And I do believe it is absolutely the beast system that the World Economic Forum is trying to create. But the good thing is you're invested in it already by holding XRP. So if you hold XRP and you continue to hold it into the future, most likely you will be transacting on alternative rails. Kim Clement's XRP bullish prophecy revisited. Back in 2011, Kim Clement told people that he's seen something in the future. Take a listen.
Something starting with an X and it has a P in it is a very profound something that's going to be worth investing in. And I can't say the whole.
And you ever take notice, only XRP has prophets around it, like Kim Clement and Brandon Biggs. They're telling you where XRP was going in the future. His prophecy came out back in 2011. Brandon Biggs is a little bit newer of a prophecy. But I think if you hold this cryptocurrency, it might be your one shot at breaking away from the beast system when it rises. Because you're invested in what the elites see as the future. And even the ECB has warned that there's going to be parallel systems. I think there's going to be 3 rails at first. You're going to have the fiat rail until we push towards a cashless society. What will be left is the central bank digital currency and the crypto rails. And everybody wants universal basic income. You see it all day long, all over X, and I don't think any of those people realize what they're getting with universal basic income. It is literally money that you can only buy specific things with. And if you don't spend it, it expires anyway. So there's no saving up to start a business, no saving up to buy things at all that you might want, because it's all going to be programmable money anyway. And this was something I forgot to mention in the earlier video from earlier today. So as XRP started to rebound after that major dip, it all began on Upbit. XRP 24-hour volume on Upbit is $257 million. When Upbit volume rises, XRP turns green first. And that's because on Upbit, XRP is outperforming Ethereum, Bitcoin, and every other cryptocurrency. It's number 1 on Upbit every single day. Analysts to XRP investors, 90% of holders will miss these bullish targets. And they're not talking about high prices either. $8, $13, and $27. XRP price tags are already written in stone. But 90% of people will have departed before such targets are met. I see people all day long hoping for a $6 XRP, a $5 XRP. And most people are going to sell their entire bag at those prices. And then they'll go on to say the top is now in, only to watch it go even higher. most people are not going to get shaken out on a red day or when XRP is going sideways for long periods of time. They're going to get shaken out on the way up. Don't get shaken out at cheap prices for XRP, because even $27 is going to be cheap for this cryptocurrency. You got to remind yourself, you are invested in what the elites see as the future. That's why Brad's always at the table. That's why Brad is at Davos, at the World Economic Forum, because this is the future and you're holding it. And until it happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.